One of the hardest things to do is to choose a financial advisor. Let me tell you, I did it a few different times. And even when I knew what questions to ask and what things to be looking out for, it was still really hard. So I can only imagine how it is for you as a consumer to determine who should I be potentially using if I'm going to make this decision to hire a financial advisor. Hey everyone, I'm Jacob Turner, former Major League Baseball player and current co-founder of Moment Private Wealth. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you just about that, how to choose a financial advisor. I'm going to walk through 7 things that I think are really important that you should consider. And I'm actually going to walk through them in order of what I think is most important to least important. And then I'm also going to throw in 3 red flags that if you're in a meeting with a financial advisor and they start talking about these things, you need to make sure you ask a couple more questions. To me, the first one that stands out is, what is your specialty? So I mentioned this in my frequently asked questions of what you should ask financial advisors. But again, in today's world, financial advice is hyper specific. Think about it like a doctor. If you went to a doctor, you would go to your normal doctor who would then prescribe what the issue is and then say, I think you need to go see this specialist. For instance, if you broke a bone, you would go see a specialist as an orthopedic surgeon. And then they would refer you to another specialist that says, this guy works specifically on the bone you broke. Now, the financial advisor you choose, I think, should be much the same way. They need to be a specialist in your situation because the reality is money is hyper specific. The things that you're looking to do with it in your situation in your life are going to be unique to you. The tax strategies you're going to be thinking about, the insurance planning that you should have, they are all going to be specific to you. So the first thing that I would start with is understanding what is the specialty of the advisors that I should be talking to in the first place. For us at Moment Private Wealth, we specialize in helping high growth entrepreneurs and professional athletes. So people that are navigating this opportunity to come into what I would call sudden wealth, a lot of money in a really short period in time. And thus, a lot of the things we do reflect that. The next thing that I want you to think about when you're talking with potentially hiring a financial advisor is, what is the service model? And here's why this is so important. Financial advisor is one of the broadest terms out there. And the reality is not every service model is the one that's right for you. And frankly, a lot of service models are very different. So the first thing is understanding, if you're going to hire a financial advisor, what problems, what things are you really trying to solve for? And I'll give you some examples. There's some folks that all they want to do is manage the investments that you have. And for some people, that might be the service model that they want. For us at Moment Private Wealth, we really cover 6 areas for clients. We cover everything from cash flow to tax planning, insurance products to estate planning, investments, team coordination. So all these different other elements. Now, for somebody that just wants the investments covered, we might not have the right service model for them. But for somebody that's looking for every aspect of their financial life to be touched, we might have the perfect service model for them. So the key for you is to understand what things are you looking to solve for if you're going to hire a financial advisor, and then better understanding what is their service model. And I'll tell you this, go one level deeper. Understand when they're going to meet with you and why they're going to meet with you then, and understand what that process looks like to actually get all those things in the service model to the finish line. Next area is experience, but not experience in what you think of the typical term, right? Like, just because you hire somebody that's been doing this for 30 years doesn't mean they're the right person for you. When I say experience, what I really mean is you want somebody that's going to be able to give you level 3 advice. Okay. You probably heard me say that before. I got that from Alex Hermosi. Level 3 advice simply means you want to hire somebody that's walked in your shoes, that's done it themselves, and has helped other people do it. You see how we went there? 3 different levels of advice. So they've been in the same shoes that you've been in. They've executed on the things themselves. And then on top of that, they've also helped other people do it. And I think this is really important. It's the whole reason why at Moment Private Wealth, we work specifically with high growth entrepreneurs and professional athletes. My dad was an entrepreneur. He owned a small business. I saw what subpar planning did for him when he ended up exiting that business. I was a professional athlete. I saw the good, the bad, and everything in between that comes with planning for a professional athlete. So we're able to offer clients advice that, 1, we've walked in their shoes, 2, we've done it ourselves, and 3, we've helped other people do it. And I think when you're looking at potentially hiring a financial advisor, this is a huge decision. Trusting somebody with your entire net worth is a massive decision. So making sure that you hire somebody that is experienced and competent in you is really important. This one is a little bit more personal to you. I call it fit, feel, and firepower. But really what it is are they the right fit for you? When you think about a financial advisor and you think about a really good financial team, they're going to be doing life with you. There's going to be a lot of things that they're ingrained in, and you want to make sure that they're a really good fit for you, both from a personality standpoint, both from a fit standpoint for your family, and then lastly, from a firepower standpoint. You want to make sure that they're going to be a fit for you today, but they're also going to be a fit for you in the future when plans change. So this one is more personal. You need to get a good gut feeling of fit, feel, and firepower. Are they the right person to help serve you and your family? This one's arguably the most important, but it's also the hardest to figure out at the beginning, but it's trust. Look, if you're giving somebody your life savings and you're entrusting them to give you really good advice to make sure that you're on the right track in the future, there needs to be a huge level of trust there. A couple of things that you can do to make sure that you start to establish that trust, especially when you might have just met this individual. One, I would just look them up online. Typically, you can read about things that they've posted about, areas that they've helped solve for clients, personal things that they value. That can give you a better sense of who they are as a person. The other thing that I would do is I would always ask, hey, could I talk to a current client that you work with? And you'll get a better sense when you're talking to that client that works with them. Hey, what would it actually be like once we're past this dating stage and we're really working together? Because ultimately, trust is a huge factor in this relationship. The next one that I think often goes overlooked, and I put it in my questions that you should be asking advisors, is what is your advisor to client ratio? Guys, there are way too many people out there serving way too many clients. I mean, I see time and time again advisors that just don't have the capabilities to truly be serving the client the way that they need to be served. Hundreds of clients in a given year and trying to meet with them multiple times a year. I mean, you do the math on that. You want to make sure that the service model that you need reflects the client to advisor ratio that firm has. Okay, now if your service model that you need is a lot less than what somebody else might need, maybe that individual can serve a lot more clients. But again, it needs to go back to what is the service model that you need? And then be realistic. Do you think that person could serve as many families as they say that they're serving? The last thing that could help you potentially choose an advisor is better understanding what the future roadmap is. So what do I mean by that? All right, so you go in, you meet with an advisor, and typically you're talking about here and now. Like, can you help me solve the problem that I have today? Well, I got news for you. Typically the plans that you're making, the plans that we're making with families are 10, 20, 30 years out into the future. You want to make sure that the individuals that you hire are going to be there to execute on that plan. Okay. Lord willing, we're going to be doing this thing at Moment for the next 30 years. We want our clients to know that we're going to be along for the ride over the next 30 years. The last thing you want to do is hire a new financial advisor, and within 2 years, they're saying, you know what, I'm actually at the end of my road, or I'm not going to be doing this anymore. You want to make sure that the people that you're hiring, those plans that you're making for the next several decades, they're going to be with you along the way to make sure that we can execute on them. All right. I promised after I told you all the things you should potentially consider as you're potentially engaging in this relationship with an advisor, I promised I'd give you a couple red flags. So here's 3 of the biggest red flags that I've seen. And look, I've seen these because I've experienced them personally. The first one is if you walk into the meeting and all they're doing is pitching investment returns. Now, let me be really clear. Investment returns matter. They matter a lot. But if all they're doing is pitching investment returns, it's a red flag, because ultimately there's only so much that the advisor can control in terms of what the investment returns are. And if they're only pitching investment returns, I would go back to the service model and say, hey, is this service model only about my investment portfolio, or is it about my entire financial life? The second area that I would caution you with is, are they name dropping? Okay. I've been in plenty of meetings where the advisor's been subtly name dropping different clients that they work with or different businesses that they help serve. And look, I think it's awesome as you move down this relationship to better understand and maybe talk to a few of those clients. But you need to talk to them when that client is comfortable with that advisor sharing their name. Because what I'm going to tell you is if they're name dropping clients in that meeting with you, guess what? Well, chances are when they get to the next potential opportunity that they have, they're going to be name dropping you to get that client. And look, money is inherently personal. This is not public information that we're dealing with. And in my opinion, they shouldn't be name dropping the clients that they work with. They should be serving you in your interests alone. The last red flag is one that I would call like fear-based selling. What do I mean by fear-based selling? I mean, they're telling you that if you don't do this thing, it's all going to burn to the ground, right? I've seen this with athletes time and time again. If you don't buy this insurance product, like you don't want to know what's going to happen. If you don't invest the way that we're saying to invest, you don't want to know what's going to happen. If you don't hire us, all these bad things could happen. Okay, look, in this process of you potentially looking at potentially engaging with a financial team, you should feel like you're getting educated along the way, that they're helping to support you, that they're showing you what it would feel like to be working together. If they're fear-based selling, I'm going to tell you right now that's a red flag. I've been on that side of the table as the client, potentially looking at hiring somebody and been sold fear. And frankly, like I left those meetings not feeling real comfortable. So use the 7 things I talked about. When you think about client to advisor ratio, level 3 advice, the experience, the service model, all these things are really important. And then also take into account a couple of the red flags we talked about. Because ultimately, the decision to hire a financial advisor is a huge one. You're entrusting them with your life savings, and you're saying, I really want to have you as the consultant that's helping me figure out what are the biggest financial moves I should be making moving forward. For us at Moment Private Wealth, it's a huge blessing when clients trust us with all that, but it's also a huge responsibility. And I hope these questions, I hope these things help you. I also hope the red flags help. If you like this sort of thing, I produce weekly videos and helping you get smarter with your money. So please rate, like, and subscribe.